There are many responsibilities of a coach, such as health and safety, professional conduct, legal obligations, and providing equal opportunities to their participants. An important responsibility of a coach is to manage health and safety. This could include making sure that the environment is safe, the activities that they are doing for participants are safe for them, checking that the equipment is safe, following the rules of the game, knowing first aid, completing risk assessments, and always completing a warm-up and a cool-down. This is important because otherwise the participant or the coach themselves could be injured. One way to keep participants safe while in a sporting session would be for the coach to do a house briefing at the beginning of every session. For example, a netball coach would check the participants' health and safety before they begin training and make sure that they are all safe to train. The house briefing could include checking if they have any injuries or are feeling ill. If they do, then the netball coach will need to make sure that they aren't doing anything that could injure themselves more, and keep an eye out for them to tell them to sit out if they believe their injury is hurting them or they start to feel really ill. Also, the netball coach will need to ask the participants if they are wearing any jewellery at the beginning of the session, and if they are, ask them to take it off because it could get caught while they are netball training and cause an injury. Another way to maintain health and safety is to check that all the equipment is safe to use. For example, a gymnastics coach will need to check that the equipment that the participant is using is put out correctly. For example, check that the wheels are taken off the vault before the participants use it, otherwise it could move and cause them to injure themselves. However, checking equipment wouldn't be as necessary in some sports where equipment isn't really used. For example, a tennis coach might not use any equipment other than tennis rackets and tennis balls, so there won't be any equipment that they need to check as stable and could cause injury to the participants. The environment that the participants are training in can also affect the health and safety, so it is important that the coach does a risk assessment before they start their session. For example, if a badminton coach was taking their participants onto the court, they should do a risk assessment beforehand, such as looking out for hazards like spilt water on the court and then making sure that it's safe by clearing up the water and putting a caution sign over it where it may be slippy. Another responsibility of a coach is professional conduct. For example, a volleyball coach acting professionally when the participants and the participants' parents, if the participants are young, when talking to them. Professional conduct is what is expected from the coach, as they are teaching people a need to appear professional, such as being punctual, organised, dressed appropriately, running good quality sessions, carrying out safety checks, and using good formal communication and language. For example, they would need to always arrive on time to the sessions that they are coaching. However, this is more important if they are getting paid. For example, a basketball coach who is getting paid would need to arrive on time because the participants are paying to be the whole time. And if the coach doesn't arrive on time, then they are not getting what they paid for. However, it is also important that they are punctual if they are a volunteer, because they are still expected to show professional conduct, especially if they are coaching young children that they are responsible for. However, this is not as important as if it was their actual job. A bad example of professional conduct would be a coach not dressing appropriately for the sport that they are coaching. For example, a netball coach shouldn't be wearing jewellery, otherwise it could lead to either them or a participant getting injured. They also need to set a good example for the participants that aren't dressed. So if they aren't dressing appropriately, the participants may start to think that it's okay for them not to either, and not wear the proper kit. Another responsibility of the coach is abiding by the legal obligations. These are the acts and laws that are in place when a coach is coaching a sport. These all need to be followed, and they're even more strict when a coach is working with vulnerable people such as children or people with disabilities. A football coach would need to abide by all the sporting and coaching rules to keep their participants safe from harm and to protect themselves. Some certain qualifications about the sport that are needed for a coach to be able to coach, and sometimes other certificates are needed such as first aid training and being DBS checked. A coach that is coaching a sport that is highly dangerous is more likely to need a higher level of qualification to keep the participants safe. For example, a kayaking coach working with young children is going to need valid qualification to coach kayaking because there is a great risk that the participants participants could drown if they are not under good supervision or haven't been coached properly. To avoid this happening, it is important that the coach does have the correct qualifications, and these qualifications could include first aid training as well, so the coach would know what to do in an emergency. Furthermore, because they are working with young children, they have a higher duty of care to look after them, so they have more responsibility for their safety as they are vulnerable. For this reason, the coach would also need to be DBS checked to make sure that they are able to work with children in a safe environment. In some sports that are less dangerous than this, it isn't as important. For example, a coach who coaches bowls is unlikely to need as high qualification because it is a very low risk sport, and it is unlikely that the participants will obtain any serious injuries. A coach who is coaching middle-aged participants bowls wouldn't need as high qualifications because they don't have as much responsibility keeping the participants safe as they are not vulnerable people. Another responsibility of a coach is to ensure that all the participants have equal opportunities, regardless of their age, ability, gender, race, or religion. For example, a volleyball coach has a mix of participants of different religions should treat them all equally and not discriminate against some religions that they themselves may not follow. When asking the participants questions, the volleyball coach should pick on everyone to answer, so not only one religion gets a chance to participate. Providing equal opportunities also includes avoiding harmful stereotypes, such as boys shouldn't like dance, which can affect what sport someone participates in, even if they would rather be doing something else, and can cause someone to not participate in a sport they want to do. A coach needs to make sure that everyone is included equally and not discriminated against. For example, a dance coach should include both genders in their session. Dance is stereotypically a girls' sport, and the coach would need to avoid prioritising the girls more due to this stereotype. To avoid stereotypes, the coach should treat everyone equally. An example of a coach who provides everyone with equal opportunities would be a coach who asks both genders to demonstrate equally. For example, when a rugby coach is asking participants to demonstrate a tackle in rugby, they should ask girls and boys equal times to demonstrate, to avoid only encouraging one gender to participate and causing the other to not engage as much. It is also important for a coach to discourage discrimination from the participants in the sport.